little bit of a conflict between the writers and maybe the production staff or some of the higher power-ups there. Higher power-ups? There's a blooper. On February 21st, 2014, I started reviewing Power Rangers with my review of the first episode of Super Megaforce. That's right, that means I am coming up on my 10th anniversary of reviewing this wonderful franchise. However, that's not the milestone that's on my mind for today's review. For some reason, it's a little hard for me to find the exact moment. It shows up earlier in my video thumbnails, but by the 4th episode of Dino Supercharge in 2016, I'd stopped referring to myself by my name and started using a brand. Orange Ranger Videos. Sometime later, a commenter asked me if I had chosen that name ironically, since there had never been an actual Orange Ranger. Oh, we've gotten close. Besides a frustrating number of orange Zords, we've had both an imaginary dream version and a close but not quite version in the same season, with SPD's Boom and Cat Ranger, whom Battle for the Grid does call an Orange Ranger. Other Rangers have had some orange on their suits, we got Orange Rangers in the comic books, and even a Make-A-Wish kid who became the Beast Morpher's Orange Ranger. But never a legit Orange Ranger on the television show, one whose suit was primarily orange, who was called the Orange Ranger, and you just couldn't argue against it. It is time for the hinting to end. That moment has arrived. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and after today, I might need to be a little bit more specific about that. Let's take a look at the 6th episode of Cosmic Fury, Take Off.
Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel.
Yeah, and make sure you got your notifications set up by hitting that little bell icon.
Right you. What he said was, you can consider checking us out on Patreon or Ko-fi at Orange Ranger Videos.
We start with most of the Rangers in their Zords investigating some kind of seismic activity as the base ship is getting ready to test its engines. They find the source of that activity, a giant tentacle. The Zords start firing on it as the ship begins testing its engines. On the bridge of the ship, it turns out that 2 of the Rangers are not with the others, as Amelia and Izzy, along with Solon and Fern, are manning consoles on the bridge. Billy is with them as well, standing in the back, kind of observing everything. Or maybe he's the captain. Make it so. So these engines aren't the fastest starting things. Billy says he'll work on the cloaking field, which would protect the ship if the tentacle gets past the guys. Solon says the engine should be at full power in a few minutes.
Pardon me?
A few minutes? My car can go 0 to 60 in less than 1 minute, and sure, the ship goes a lot faster than a car, but this just feels like a really slow startup sequence. Anyway, Zato struggles a bit with the giant tentacle, which the subtitles confirm is a giant scuttle worm. It turns out that the little cub Zord on the Grizzly Zord has a saw blade attack, which basically decapitates the scuttle worm, but doing so allows it to assume a humanoid form. Back over with the ship, Izzy notices a high engine vibration reading, and they power down from their test. Solon detects that the solar shields were loose, which misalign 2 of the outside engines, which now need to be readjusted manually.
Now, you do know what a bilateral collateral is.
Well, of course I do, human. I am not stupid.
Solon says that she can fix one of the engines, but needs someone else to fix the other one. Fern volunteers, suddenly knowing the ship like the back of her hand, but Izzy strongly objects due to the Zord fight outside. They start arguing about this when Billy steps in to do it instead. But after he leaves, we see that Fern is clearly irritated with Izzy's protectiveness.
Protected.
The dragon, bear, and scorpion Zords combine with the dragon to form the Cosmic Dragon Megazord. And hey, all three of those Zords were in the previous battle. Nicely done, Cosmic Fury! An interesting little note, though, is that Javi and Ion's Zords are shown opposite of where they are on the Megazord when we see the cockpits, which is to say that Javi's bear is on the right of the Megazord and Ion's scorpion is on the left, but when we see the cockpits, Javi is on the right and Ion is on the left. However, that is their position facing out from the Megazord, so I'm going to let this one slide. On the ship, the ladies once again test the engines, and this time they immediately power up to 100%. Okay, so cool, the misaligned engines were why the startup sequence was taking so long.
Oh, good guess. Wrong, though.
Nope, Solon didn't say anything about the misalignment talking about that. She just said it would take a few minutes for the engines to reach full power.
Great continuity!
After a little scorpion venom from the restaurateur Ion, a cosmic mega blast finishes off the scuttleworm. The guys report in that they've finished with the monster, and Amelia responds that the engines are checking out now, so they should be ready to go. She calls Solon to confirm that, but gets no response. They head back inside the ship to plan out how to start looking for her, and Billy teleports back in, with Solon's communicator covered in scuttleworm goo. Amelia says they're not leaving Eridus without Solon, and Ion chimes in that even if Solon was eaten by a scuttleworm, she wouldn't digest quickly. Meanwhile, honestly, they take away a little suspense right off the bat as we see that Solon is alive. She's been captured by a scuttleworm and tied up in gooey webs nearby 3 glowing eggs. The suggestion is sort of that these eggs are feeding off of Solon's energy via the webs, but maybe not. We cut to a squid drill arriving at Eridus, as helpfully over-explained by a Sentinel. Ollie says that the Rangers will eventually show themselves, but Bajilia is impatient, telling a copy guard to head to the moon, grow large, and start blasting the desert. One lucky shot could fix their problem from orbit. Ollie questions what happens if they don't get lucky, but as they point out, this argument really doesn't have a leg to stand on. As Josiah says, if the shots miss, the Rangers will still reveal themselves to see what's going on. It's kind of a win-win. Very interesting little moment with Zato here. The Rangers start planning on how to best search for Solon when they notice that Zato is in a trance, with the red staff broadcasting energy around in a circle as if it's scanning. Zato sees flashes of Solon and points to precisely where she is on a map. Then he almost passes out. Javi catches him and declares that he is freezing cold. Billy says that kind of magic is Morphin Master level. I wouldn't really expect Billy to understand magic that well, but he has had some study time. Then they start getting blasted from orbit.
It's the only way to be sure.
Billy quickly puts together that they are still cloaked and these are just random shots meant to lure them out. But Amelia points out the other problem. Even if they're not directly hit, all of this shaking will wake up all the scuttleworms in the area and they won't be happy. She says they'll take the Megazord to deal with the copy guard, asking Zato to go find Solon. I do suppose that Zato knows exactly where Solon is, but the fact that he staggers getting up shows that this isn't exactly the best choice. Izzy does volunteer to go with him.
Oh, well, that's all right then.
Fern asks what she can do, declaring that they need all hands on deck right now. Izzy says that what Fern can do is stay inside the ship and stay safe, asking Amelia to back her up on this. Amelia doesn't really look confident in this decision, but says that they could use somebody sitting at the helm, keeping the engines warm so they can take off quickly. Got it. Indoor cat. Again. I absolutely love this, well, cattiness from Fern at constantly being kept safe and out of harm's way. Amelia does this really weirdly dynamic Zord power now pose, kind of like summoning the Dinozords or the Thunderzords, except that they've never needed to do that before. Lion, shark, chameleon, wolf. So right off the bat, that's only 4 Zords, and they need 5 to form a Megazord. But recall what I said before. If they've summoned 4 Zords, and we know they need 5 for a Megazord, I'm okay with hand-waving that they summoned a 5th Zord in order to do that, just as long as all the Zords that were there before are there now. The 4 Rangers do a Zord roll call, interestingly enough. And in a cute touch, Javi is piloting the green chameleon Zord, which would normally be his sister's. As the Zords fly off, Zato and Izzy, sporting head coverings for the desert, arrive at the mouth of a cave. Zato says they're going to have to cut through a webbed, for lack of a better term, webbing, covering to the cave. Izzy asks why they can't just teleport in, but Zato says that there are tons of scuttleworms inside, so slow and quiet is the key.
Okay, but why though?
It's teleportation. It's instant. If you know where she is and you're able to teleport into the cave, then you don't even need to teleport into the cave. You can just teleport her out of the cave. Seriously, Star Trek handwaves this with the easiest of explanations. There's a mineral in the cave walls that's blocking transport.
As I have speculated, the presence of refractory metals...
Refractory metals, yes, I know.
That's all you've got to say. Ollie and Josada teleport down, explaining their entire plan to each other when they should both already know it, and I start to sense a little conflict between the writers and the higher-ups. The powers that be may have wanted this explained a little more directly for the younger viewers in the audience, but Izzy pops off in response to this by literally saying, blah blah, Ollie with the exposition, who cares? Hey Izzy, quit pointing out the bad quirks in the writing. That's my thing. The two morph, with Ollie wisely calling on Sentinels to attack during the morph. The two flip their orbs straight up into the air, but those orbs must have homing abilities, because the two then run forward, and the orbs still land perfectly in the morphers. Also, I believe this is the first time we're seeing Zato's morphing sequence, and the undersuit for his morph is oddly flesh-colored. We cut to Solon in the cave, who hears scuttleworms growling, and then the eggs nearby her start to glow even brighter. With the Zords, the Rangers form the Cosmic Fury Megazord, and thank Zordon. They added the Bull Zord, which is a little ironic seeing as Javi is in the fight, but in another Zord. But the other 4 Zords are the 4 Zords that were summoned previously. Was that so hard? Over to Fern in the ship, she hears as Izzy and Zato are asked for an update by Amelia. The two of them report that they're getting held up by the Sentinels and can't get to Solon, but report her location so the others in the Zords might be able to get her. However, those Rangers in the Zords can't get free of their Zord fight either. Fern walks around a little bit, clearly frustrated, her eyes then landing on the 6th Cosmic Fury Morpher, the one being set aside for Ollie when they get him back. You blast, right? That's right, it's a blaster as well as a morpher, and she takes it. The first step towards our big moment. After seeing that the Zords are still back and forth with the copy guard, Fern teleports to the cave where Solon is. The eggs hatch into baby scuttleworms, which Fern blasts, including one that wrapped around her hand and the morpher, covering the morpher in goo. Perhaps their parents show up, upset at the hatchling's demise. Fern tries to teleport the two of them away, but the goo seems to block that somehow. Solon steps forward to defend her, but gets smacked into the cave wall and starts sparking with orange energy. Fern goes to help her up, and some of that energy is transferred into the morpher, covering Fern with that very familiar glow. She steps forward and tells the worms to back off. The morpher glows, which makes her wonder if she broke it, but no, heroes. Instead, some of us have been waiting 30 years for this moment. Fern is morphed into the Cosmic Fury Orange Ranger.
Did I break it? Oh, no way!
Celebrate good times, come on. Let's celebrate. Yes! Yes!
Yes! That's awesome!
And she is legit, folks. No, the suit has as much white on it as orange here. The suit is entirely orange. Fern asks what kind of dinosaur she is, holding a short staff that has a clawed, almost hand on the end of it. In Art of the Orange Ranger, it's actually two staves connected by a short rope, so we'll see about that. Solon says those claws look kind of like her claws, and orange is her favorite color. That's right, Fern's Orange Ranger is powered by the admittedly non-existent Solonosaurus.
Meanwhile, thousands of miles away.
The Megazord uses a new finisher, Cosmic Mega Meteor Strike, to pound the copy guard down into the moon and also to explode. Ollie and Joe Zodek have Izzy and Zato on the ropes when the four other Rangers from the Zords arrive to help. Amelia goes to run into the cave to save Solon when one of the Scuttle Worms comes flying out. And they all see the Orange Ranger leap out after them. She slashes the Scuttle Worm into green goo.
That was totally wicked!
Solon runs out and the Rangers all teleport away as two more Scuttle Worms come running out. These two have a slightly unique design to them, enough to tip Joe Zodek off to the fact that these are the Scuttle Worms that ate his hunting bots. Ollie could not care less about that, but Joe Zodek runs off for revenge anyway, forcing the two to fight. On the ship, the Rangers are understandably confused, and all the more so when Fern demorphs and reveals herself. Solon says the story can wait until they take off, telling Billy to power down the cloak since they'll need max power to leave the planet's orbit. This seems like a bit of an oversight at first, because why did Billy turn the cloaking device on in the first place? But actually, it does give everything a very nice touch of fate. It was turned on to defend themselves, it made sense logically, and doing so started the chain of events in motion, which led to Fern becoming the Orange Ranger. The ship leaves Eridus, an irritated Ollie watching and declaring that he hates this planet, as he blasts a hole in a Scuttle Worm. There's a weird scene next. Squillia is on Earth with Heckle. A monster teleports in, Wizo, looking like a bird mask and whatever the local high school had in their costuming closet for drama. Sorry, calling a spade a spade. Wizo has a crush on Bajilia. Woo! Lord Zed calls to report Squillia's failure and to warn her that the Rangers are very likely coming to Earth. She brushes the job of dealing with the Rangers off on the crushing Wizo. Back on the ship, Solon is telling the story of the Orange Ranger to all of the other Rangers. We get the very tail end of it, with Solon saying in a flash, the orb bonded with Fern and made her the Orange Ranger. Quick question. What orb? I guess maybe the Morpher had a blank orb in it and each of those orbs bonded with the Rangers and became their specific ones? Actually, that does kind of make sense. Kind of sucks for Ollie if they get him back, but I'm sure they can figure something out. We see that there is a roaring Solon inside the orange orb, meaning that she and Fern are now connected through the morphing grid. As Fern says that she's just glad that Solon is safe, Izzy gets up and walks away, with Solon basically telling Fern to follow her. Thankfully, it's not Izzy ranting on Fern for getting into danger, but finally confessing as to why she's been so overprotective. Well, kind of. She acknowledges that neither of them are indoor cats and that she would have done the same thing as Fern under the same circumstances. However, she says that ever since they got to Eridus, she felt like something bad was going to happen to Fern. But now she remembers what she loves about Fern: The girl can't be stopped. They're both forces of nature, strong and determined. They declare their love for each other, and Javi makes a great pun about a power couple before Amelia gives the team a pep talk about their upcoming fight on Earth. So after this, we head over to a planet whose name starts with E and has an A, an R, and a T in it. That's right, Eltar! Did I get you? Anyway, this episode wraps up with actually a fascinating scene as we further the development of Zed and Ollie's relationship? Ollie wonders why he's not the one defending Earth, asking if Zed is angry with him. Zed says that he's not angry, he's just
disappointed!
Ollie says that he tried his hardest and his mostest evilest. Zed basically tells him that the universe always tries to bring down the strongest, most powerful person. People who have some power, including the Power Rangers, always try to take out the top dog. Zed points out that there were many evil emperors before him, but they all lost and died. But not you, Ollie points out, to which Zed agrees.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
Does Zed not recall that he was revived? Listen, he may not have lost in battle. I mean, the Rangers defeated Zed countless times, but he was never outright destroyed. But the Z-Wave did take Zed out. He was not the biggest, baddest evil emperor around. He was a used car salesman with a cardigan around his shoulders.
Wanna dance?
Anyway, Zed tells Ollie that there's been a slight change of plans. He's realized that to win the fight, you have to constantly keep getting stronger. And the key to that is the Morphin Master energy. Scrozzle has found a way that Zed can use it, but first he needs Ollie to help him unlock it. We see the energy glint in Ollie's eye, perhaps tying into Zed constantly telling Ollie that he can only rely on himself and only the top dog counts, and painting upcoming betrayal across the sky in giant glowing blue letters. It's written right up there next to those stars we're gazing at. Episode 6, Take Off. Pros: Go Go Orange Ranger. Some much missed focus for Solon, and the Zed-Ollie dynamic. Cons: New Ranger felt a little too tucked into the story. Jozotic seems like another pointless character. And a little bit of lack for the Izzy Fern stuff. The debut of the Orange Ranger. Obviously, this episode gets 5 stars out of 5 with like 12 bonus stars, right? Come on now. I have some standards. Take Off gets 4.5 stars out of 5. Okay, screw it. I know what I need to talk about last, so we're throwing the pros and cons into full reverse. Cons before pros, 3-1 on both. So for the continued focus on the friction between Izzy and Fern, at Izzy being so overprotective, I was expecting just a little bit more from that at the finish line. You maybe could have had that confrontation at the engine test at the beginning of the episode have been a full-blown fight between the two, Fern even losing her cool and storming off. She wasn't a Power Ranger yet, she's not battle-tested, she can fly off the handle at any time. It led to Fern being a Ranger, but I just kind of feel like Izzy went, oh, okay, my bad. Oops, As I described before, Jozotic comes from an entirely different Sentai than the one we're getting bits and pieces of here, the entirely skipped over Zyuohger. So all of his footage is original, and I really find myself wondering what the point was besides that little nod to a skipped over Sentai. He's been in a few fighting scenes and whines about his hunting robots. At this point, he could have been replaced by a hunting robot. The easiest way that I can make this last, well, first, I guess, con point is this. For the first 10 minutes or so of this episode, I was wondering if I'd gotten it wrong and this wasn't the Orange Ranger's debut. It was only when Fern took that morpher that I was like, okay, this is happening. That's a nice little bit of diversion, but it just went a little too far for me. Cosmic Fury has this annoying tendency to kind of bury its leads, so to speak. The Zed-Ollie dynamic is really fascinating to me. I saw someone speculate about some dialogue that wasn't included but could have been, where Zed tells Ollie, "You're like the son I never had. Yeah, I never liked Thrax." I mean, who would, right? But that really is the dynamic. Zed seems to be taking Ollie under his wing, advising him while he punishes others. They are setting up an obvious betrayal by Ollie, and I mean like even when he's evil, not necessarily just going back to the Rangers, as Zed constantly advises him to only watch out for himself and that only the top dog matters. But it's still very well written and just fun to see develop. Oh, right! The Rangers have had a semi-mentor technical person that's also a cyborg dinosaur, haven't they? Let me put that another way. Oh, hi, Solon! She was well overdue for some focus, and to be the source of power for the Orange Ranger was a great way to do that. It showcased her usual mix of technical know-how and charming wittiness, and was just another great episode for her. Okay, we've reached this moment. I've known about this for a while. It wasn't exactly a poorly kept secret, but at a picture that was leaked of the first table read for Cosmic Fury, Fern had an orange script and an orange cup, and the color orange kept coming up and being associated with her, as well as the fact that it just seemed weird to include Fern in the main cast for this season and not have her be one of the Rangers. But when it's been 30 years and you're constantly getting orange Zords with no Rangers, little hints and hopes that there might be one, Sentai seasons with orange Rangers that get skipped over and not adapted, it was really hard to keep hoping. Remember the question from a viewer that I referenced at the beginning of this video, whether I chose the name Orange Ranger ironically because there'd never been one? My answer was that was a little bit of it, but mainly orange has been my favorite color almost as long as I can remember, and I just always wanted there to be an Orange Ranger. And now we have one. The bad side of my brain tries to throw in some caveats. We only get her for about 4.5 episodes. It took original footage to get an Orange Ranger when it would have been so much easier to just adapt a season that had an Orange Ranger. Heck, Q Ranger, the Sentai that's being adapted, sort of, for Cosmic Fury, has its own Orange Ranger. But I'm not going to listen to that. We finally made it, heroes. Okay, I admit this has been official since the show dropped on Netflix, so maybe it's better to say that I finally made it. It just occurred to me that at the start of this video I said I might need to be a little more specific about my title, but actually I don't think I'm going to be. I considered calling myself the Orange YouTube Ranger, but besides not wanting to look like I'm directly representing YouTube, that sounds a little bit silly. And listen, both Amelia and Carter can call themselves the Red Ranger, so despite Fern being the first official Orange Ranger, I think I still have somewhat of a claim to that title. I'm the Orange Ranger, now and forever. Well, we've made it past that gigantic orange hump in the road. What's next? Let's find out by taking a peek at the 7th episode of Cosmic Fury, Operation Seasoning. To save Pine Ridge, Team Cosmic Fury must dismantle the system of squid drills, creating an anti-Zord force field around Earth, with the help of a spy. That is going to do it for another Power Rangers Cosmic Fury episode review. Thank you, heroes, so much, as always, for watching and for sharing this particular moment with me. This was a pretty meaningful one to me. I'd appreciate it if you head down below and hit that thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed this video. And while you're down there, leave me a comment, let you know what you thought of this episode, as well as my review of it, and how you feel about us finally getting an official Orange Ranger on the television show. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. Make sure you smack that thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed this video, and I don't remember. I'd also really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel and get your notification. Wait, I'd really appreciate it if down below the video you click that thumbs up button Please say subscribe. Go, go, Orange Ranger.